Should I pull over and Zoom?
Not gonna happen. Well, can he still Zoom?
You can still Zoom. Yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure.
Yeah, the Zoom will still work, but it just won't be live streamed. It'll be uploaded later.
Yeah, Zoom's working fine, guys.
Yeah, it's just the YouTube part that we're having trouble with. So
Doors locked open. It's wide open. For open meetings. They can always come to your questions.
right, and it'll get posted later. So it's 6:36. I will call to order the Monday, November 15th meeting of the Darlington Community School District Board of Education. Teresa, do you acknowledge public notice?
Yes.
Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Where Christ,
Here.
Fink,
Here.
Gratz,
Here.
Hermanson,
Here.
Schilling, Siegenthaler here, Wolf,
Here.
Zuber Bueller.
Here.
All right, item 3 is call for special appearance. Is there anyone present who'd like to address the board? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 4, adoption of the agenda.
So move. Second.
Motion by Hermanson, second by Chris to adopt the agenda. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 5 is approval of minutes from our 2 meetings that were on November 1st.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Zuber, second by Gratz to approve the minutes. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion passes. Item 6, by email, Bob, Joe, and Stacy reviewed the bills for payment. See those in board book.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Hermanson, second by Chris to approve the bills for payment. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 7, swear in new board member.
All right. Welcome, Ryan. Nice to have you with us. So raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name,
I, Ryan McGuire,
having been appointed
to
to the Board of Education of the Darlington Community School District,
the Board of Education of the Darlington Community School District,
but have not yet entered upon the duties thereof.
but have not yet entered upon the duties thereof.
Swear that I will support the Constitution
Swear that I will support the Constitution
of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office
and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office
to the best of my ability, so help me God.
to the best of my ability, so help me God.
All right, thank you.
Welcome, Ryan.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome, Ryan.
Welcome, McGuire.
Okay, item 8 is COVID updates.
High school, I handed out that sheet. There is only one update from November 1st. It's on the back of your sheet there. We have one student who had been quarantined as a result of a close contact outside of school. He has returned to school. That student was not vaccinated when they were close contact. That is our only update for the high school.
Ms. Goldorf, not able to make it tonight. She told me the update for Dems for COVID is that we currently have 2 students out who tested positive. They're on quarantine. And other than that, I just put on here for an update. The vaccine is available now for children ages 5 through 12. So that just about every kid in the school now is eligible to receive the vaccine.
Hey, I just had a quick question. What is our average, just rough idea of the kids that are testing daily? I had a parent ask me just out of curiosity.
In the high school, I don't think anybody ever tests.
I think if you have to go high school wise, it's less than one per day on average. I mean, we've only had like 3 people test.
In Dems, I would just be guessing, but if we're only looking at the students who were close contacts that are eligible to stay in school by testing, I might say more than half of them probably are coming in and doing the test and trying to stay in school that way. I know when it was a month ago, when we had the positive cases, there were lots of kids getting tested every morning in the Dems office.
If you had to put a number to it, just a rough idea.
It'd be a rough guess. 60–70% of the kids who were close contacts would come in and do the test and try to stay in school that way.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, anything else on COVID updates?
No, sir.
Move on then to item 9, discussion and action regarding esports as an extracurricular activity.
Programs and Services Committee met recently and is recommending that we approve esports as an extracurricular activity. Some schools do it that way as an extra activity. Some do it kind of more as a sport. We're looking at least for the trial period for second semester, not having this activity be subject to the athletic code. We're looking at a trial basis starting in February for second semester. Have 2 coaches and their pay would be, we're looking at similar to basketball. One coach actually would be lane 1 and the other one lane 3.
So it wouldn't be subject to the athletic code, but it would have its own rules like the other extracurriculars do.
Correct.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Chris, second by Fink to approve. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Hi.
That motion passes. Item 10 is discussion and action regarding future-ready library plan.
Ms. Simmons here, she was recently taking a class and became aware that the DPI is requiring us to have a library plan on file with them. She spent this fall taking what she learned from her class to create this future-ready plan, and she's gonna share the highlights.
Well, I think that's pretty much what I was gonna say is, in conjunction with the International Society of Technology Education, the DPI last spring offered a class on future-ready librarianship for every librarian in the state of Wisconsin. And it focused on this idea of future-ready. You might remember 21st century skills. That was, we're trying to get our kids ready for those 21st century skills. The new tagline now is future-ready. So future-ready schools, future-ready libraries. And we investigated each of the wedges or the framework of what that looked like in this class. And then it was a springboard for creating the library plan, which will then be sent to the DPI and have on file. So in the one column, I had current and prior practices, focusing on what I've done. This is my 5th year in the library. And then what are possible areas of growth or recommendations moving forward. Kale said he had shared this with you already. I know Ryan, you probably didn't get a chance or did. Okay.
Was attached to the board book.
Yeah, it's in. So if anyone has any questions for me about anything in the plan.
I looked it over, it looked pretty straightforward.
And Kayla and I discussed that those possible areas of growth are just that. They're possible, they're suggestions. Some are things that I could be working on as of right now. Some might be things that are working on, down the road.
Yeah, it looked like a lot of effort went into it, so we appreciate your taking the time to do that.
The class was very, very helpful in helping, just learn about what future ready schools look like and in organizing, what this plan could look like.
So this is something new the DPI is requiring. We didn't have to.
Apparently not, because the woman that I've been connecting with at the DPI, she said the good majority of schools in Wisconsin did not have a library plan filed, which, makes me wonder how well was that communicated with school districts?
Right.
If you're offering these classes, because so many of the school districts in the state did not have anything filed. So hopefully with the classes that they were offering, that will increase.
All right, so we need a motion to approve the future ready library plan.
Yes, please.
I'll make a motion to approve that plan.
Second. Motion by Hermanson, second by Fink. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks, Corey. All right, item 11 is discussion regarding FEMA tornado shelter update.
Infrastructure Committee recently met. We were talking about this FEMA shelter we're gonna get. I got an encouraging email from the state. It's all I had before was from Jordan, where he had gotten a phone call that they were gonna do it. Well, now I got an email from somebody at the state that they're hiring additional staff, and it sounds like they're gonna fund all the applications from last year. So that was good news. We talked a lot at the meeting about the floor plan, some potential shifting of things around, and I think what we decided on was first, let's get us a general contractor or a general manager picked. Then we can work with them on the drawings and the different possibilities once we know the legal requirements, how many bathrooms do you have to have and that kind of thing. It's coming along. We're looking at, I think what we decided was this summer, we have 2 big projects going on already. And we're looking at the following summer probably for construction.
Questions on any of that? All right, we'll move on then to item 12, discussion and action regarding Dems gym backboard.
That same committee, while they were meeting, we talked about getting some plexiglass backboards for the side hoops and Dems, and the committee's recommending approval of that at a cost of approximately $5,500. I don't know, Lee has another possibility for us.
So there's a minor change. Nick, I know you and I talked a little bit about it. The current the current glass hoop at Dems is a 48-inch tall hoop. Standard size for a high school hoop is 42. I talked with the recommended bid, the company today. Not a big deal. The quote we have is 48-inch tall hoops. They're actually recommending to do 42 because of high school size. That would drop the price down $700. They can keep it the same and be 48-inch, match exactly what we have at the Dems for the main court. But if we want to match what the high school has, we can go a little bit smaller and go 42 inches tall. I just want to propose that to you guys. See what you want to do.
When you say 42 inches, Lee, what 42 inches from top to bottom?
Yeah, that's the glass, Nick. That does not include the pad. The pad is probably another 2 inches, but that's the actual board.
So when they typically, I just remember from like when I got our backboard, don't they typically measure like from corner to corner like they do TV sizes? Isn't that how they determine the size of the backboard?
Maybe, but the way I was working with all the bidding companies, this is how we did it. We had a 48-inch tall by 6 foot wide quoted.
Okay.
That's what we have on the main court at Dems right now. That's the bid that you guys approved at committee level.
So
if you wanted to go a little bit smaller,
yeah,
do 42 like the high school has, we'd save a couple $100.
It would be 42 by 72 is basically what would be.
Correct. The only thing is you had mentioned about swapping around some hoops for the main court. It would just look a little funny to have one set of hoops on the side courts, bigger than the main court. That's the only thing I wanted to run this by you. So I think we can, sorry, go ahead.
If you did it, you just have to have them on the same cord.
Yeah. I mean, it's still a legal backboard.
I would do that. in a sense, and the only reason I say that would be to still swap them out, because if for some reason we ever had an issue in our high school where we had to move our high school game over to the middle school, we could do it.
Yeah, because honestly, the biggest concern, I mean, I asked Larry, I asked the other guys, I said, what is the reason for going smaller at the high school level? It's because kids are going up to dunk and they could hit their head on it. I don't know if Dems will be a problem, but you're right. If the high school freshman team or JV team plays here, probably wise to have that.
Yeah. I
So
don't
would you
see,
rather go with
I
the,
will. Yeah, it's just funny.
so it'll save us $700
Yeah.
from the quote that you guys saw.
You put the 42s on the two main ones?
So there's there'll be four 42s coming.
Yep.
2 of them will go on the main court, 2 will go on a side court of our choosing. And then the 48-inch ones that are on the main court right now will go on one of the other
Far
sides.
end or something.
Those will be on the same, like Rick said, on the.
Yeah, I'll be on the same.
And then Lee, I did talk to a couple of guys on the hoops club. Just whatever day you want to do it, they said they would round up 5-6 guys to do it.
Great. Yep. We're looking at that 4 to 5 week timeline to get them here. You guys approve it tonight. We'll get it ordered tomorrow. So
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Zuber, second by Gratz to approve the purchase of those backboards as discussed. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 13, discussion and action regarding concrete pad behind Dems.
This has to do with the new HVAC system that's going in Dems. Part of the plan was to have 2 condensing units out behind the 7-8 wing, and they were each gonna have their own concrete pad. But when we got out there and looked at what that was gonna be like when it was done, realized it'd make a lot more sense to just connect the 2 pads, make it one, and not have to mow a little area in between. Added about $1,400 to the cost, could come out of the contingency fund of the project, so the committee is recommending that we go ahead and do that.
I'll second it.
Motion by Hermanson, second by Chris to approve. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 14, discussion and action regarding Dems K1 playground gates.
There's a fence all the way around the K1 playground. But the 2 sides are open where the sidewalk is. There's no gate on it. And we have some kids who don't like to necessarily stay at all times where they're supposed to be inside the fence. So we're recommending that we just put a gate across. It would be 2 gates and about 8 feet of fencing. We're gonna need to get the gates that roll back on themselves. So it's not gonna be quite as cheap as a folding gate would be, but that would go out into parking lot, cause problems. So what's the quote for the 12,000 something?
that's on.
12,064.60.
Yeah, a little over 12,000. That's gonna be nice gates that roll back on themselves and that section of fence done. It's gonna look good. It's gonna a lot of things, but it's mostly a safety issue.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
By Siegenthaler, second by Hermanson to approve the playground gates. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Item 15, discussion and action regarding creation of a wrestling cheerleader advisor position.
Yeah, for at least a long time, if not forever, there's been one position called Winter Cheer Advisor, and you're in charge of supervising the basketball cheerleaders and the wrestling cheerleaders, which are 2 totally separate groups of girls. A lot of times they have events on the same night and different, it just doesn't, it's not realistic to expect one person to oversee both of those and do a good job of it. So we're recommending that we add a position called Wrestling Cheer Advisor. The position is there called Winter Sports Cheer. That'll just turn into basketball, and then we'll add one person for wrestling.
Do we have somebody in mind?
Yes, for the one position for the basketball is gonna be split. There's two people are gonna split the pay, be Kaylee, Frist, and that's coming up later for you if you approve it, but Caitlin Reichling, and then for the wrestling cheer is gonna be Ania Santa Cruz.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Chris, second by Zuber to approve adding the wrestling cheerleader advisor position. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Item 16, discussion and action regarding high school art classes.
We're asking, the high school is asking for approval of 2 new art classes to be added to the course selection for our students. Both of these courses, I did reach out to the teachers, so my apologies, I forgot to ask her. Both of these classes will transfer to Southwest Tech. The advisor that the teacher spoke with said they may transfer to other colleges depending on those other colleges and their acceptance of Southwest Tech credit. But the first course is Design Fundamentals, Graphic Design, and Interpret the Fundamentals of Graphic Design. And then Color Theory is the second one, Fundamental Components of Color. It'll talk about theory, psychology, perception, value, harmonies, and trends. And so we're asking for those 2 to be approved for our students to begin taking those in the 22-23 school year.
It's both half semester courses then,
Nope, I think they are,
full year.
yes. If that is different, I will let you know, but I took it as they're full year, but I will have to, I'll double check. That's a good question.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
By Chris, second by McGuire to approve those high school art classes. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 17, discussion and action regarding hiring CISA 10 to develop an RFP for the FEMA tornado shelter and high school weight room.
Yeah, well, I think we need to decide if we need an RFP or not for the first stage of it. We're gonna eventually need a general contractor to oversee the entire project. We very recently went out and got bids for the same type of service for people to oversee the Dems cafeteria project. So we need to figure out if we can just repeat what we did and let the general contractor be in charge of bringing to us bids for the architect and then for the construction and then for the plumbing and all that stuff.
We're looking for total project management, similar to what we did with the cafeteria project. We're not, at this point, we're not hiring contractors. We're not doing anything like that. We're trying to decide, okay, who is going to charge us the fair price to operate the project? You know, be in charge of making sure timelines are met and you know, supplies are there. I don't know if going to an RFP is beneficial for us to spend the money to develop an RFP at this point. Maybe we just reach out to, like we'd mentioned, project management companies, say, hey, what's going to cost? Odds are it's going to be a percentage of the project. So whatever that number is, it'll be, you know, whatever, 1% or 0.5%, whatever it is, that number. So that's kind of what we're getting at with this, is maybe we're better off reaching out and doing it ourselves instead of hiring RFP. Once the project management company is hired or selected by the board, then their responsibility is to develop an RFP to get all the general contractors involved. Okay, you know, the construction companies and the plumbers and electricians, they take care of all that stuff. This is more or less somebody to run the project.
We're not required legally to have an RFP, are we?
I would say we're required to get bids on a project this size, but how we go about getting those bids, I don't think it says you have to have an RFP.
We're just not creating, we're hiring somebody else to create, to do it. That basically that's the same thing, so.
So there's no fine print in the grant that says you have to have one.
We haven't got any details yet from the state on that.
And we still don't know details of what they require in the shelter itself. You know what I mean?
The plan at this point would be to follow what we did for the cafeteria, but obviously on a bigger scale. But hire somebody like we did Hoffman for the cafeteria. Now they're taking care of all the general contractor.
Didn't we hire CISA 10 to do that first part for us for the cafeteria?
But that was HVAC and cafeteria. Because
Okay.
we had HVAC tied in and we elected not to. So.
Okay.
I don't know if you heard earlier,
Yeah.
Kale was saying it's much more. No,
Percentage of the project.
So, I mean, would you just reach out to specific entities that bid on the other project and say, hey, do you want to bid on this one?
I mean, there's project management companies all over. We talked about maybe reaching out to some of the other schools that did the FEMA shelter. Who did they have do theirs? And then we could ask them for a bid.
We have 3 that we know of that we would do this.
We can meet our requirements by policy of getting 3 bids, but
I'd be fine going that direction right now.
So are we just looking just to do is this just the FEMA gym, or is this the FEMA gym and the weight room?
so I would like to incorporate the weight room into that project. The current weight room, you're saying taking out that wall?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to incorporate it into it. I mean, that'd be the time to do it. We had company over here taking care of the FEMA gym. Let's do the wall as well.
What about, and I'm gonna throw this out there just because and I just want everybody else's opinions. And after walking through those locker rooms as well, what are anybody's thoughts on incorporating that into it as well? If they were to have to, with the showers and everything like that, or is that something, Lee, that you don't think is necessary? Because I'll be honest with you, after walking through that locker room, especially the boys, that was pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. There's definitely some upgrades that need to be done. Ultimately, it's how much, you want to spend. What we can do, Nick, is we can get a cost from the project management company of what it would cost to do. I mean, you guys can always turn it down, say it's too much money or we're not doing it right now. But I think it'd be entertaining. It'd be good for us to entertain an offer and see what it would cost to have that done at this point. I mean, if we're doing project management for the whole FEMA gym, they're not going to charge us any more for that.
No, and I don't think structurally out of those, neither one of those locker rooms needs a lot, but I guess just with the showers and I think square footage wise, we're okay. And I don't know if they'd want to do something different with the girls, the way their showers were, on the wall, and whether or not stuff like that had to be moved. But, I think the girls alone, like you said, with some paint and some new lockers and new flooring and possible shifting of showers is all you would need. But even though I thought the boys was really not good.
Oh, I would agree. And I agree. I don't think we'll be knocking any walls down, but just to get their idea, maybe they have some designs they've done in the past with other schools. You never know, just an idea. I don't think it hurts to, at least at this point, see bids for it.
Okay.
Well, if we want to include those 3 together, I could talk to CISA 10 about how much they would charge to prepare an RFP that included all 3 of those things. And then we could make the decision based on that cost, and we could talk to other people that have done the FEMA gym, see what they did.
I mean, we plan on funding this on our own, don't we? Right?
The girls' locker room.
Yeah. I got no problems putting it all together, but sometimes things get lost in the mix with a big old bid, and it's a little bit less hands-on. I don't know. It just kind of scares me when you got them all over. And
Well, I would still do a line item where you see individual costs for each project, but at this point, like you said, Red, we can just entertain a cost.
no, that's
We
fine.
certainly can go out on our own and get our own bids too.
Yeah, I don't know if there's an advantage. I mean, I guess if it doesn't cost us any more to do it, then time together, but there are other building projects we've discussed too that I don't want to get lost.
That's my concern, is just some things getting lost. If it gets too expensive, well, then we just kick it out, I mean.
There is one thing that I think we should look at doing here sometime, either next month or after the first part of the year, is we haven't done a 5-year long-range planning here in the last several years. We've got 3 dual board members. Obviously, Rich is on board now. I think it'd be good for us to sit down and have a couple meetings, have some long-range plan, talk about these, talk about financing, talk about, staffing. That's something I think we're gonna need to do, and we can talk about all these projects.
We started something like that with the Fund 46 discussion.
That was capital, and whether or not that still is timeline we're looking at, or, but rolling in the money, rolling in staffing, all this all comes together. I think it's something we need to be doing here pretty quickly. Like I said, there's some other projects out there. We don't want to get them lost. You go back to where all these conversations all started, which kind of rolled into the tornado shelter. All these conversations started about when we were talking about adding 5 rooms onto this building. And then it's evolved into all this. Like I said, there's a lot of projects. We just don't want to get them all lost. So.
Absolutely. The only good part about this point just tonight is this is just a project management, bid. So we're not at least at that point.
Yeah.
You're right. Those are good points to bring up when we get a contractor selected.
No, it's just good for the board to sit down and what are our goals? What is our 5-year plan? And I mean, there's a lot of things coming up here in the next 5 years. And team, so.
Has anybody looked at what just got passed in the federal government? I mean, are we part of an infrastructure plan, schools? I mean, has anybody heard anything? I don't know if there was something on page 1740 or something.
Or 5,000 page?
I don't know. But I mean,
There might be,
who knows? We might be getting, who knows? We might be getting a chunk of funding,
Yeah, I don't know.
You looking for any action on this tonight, or you just want to bring us more information next time or whenever you get it?
How about if I reach out, CSATIN, and have an RFP, a cost to prepare an RFP, but how far did you want it to go? Did you want it to include the weight room? Did you want it to include the girls' locker room, all in the same project?
I think the weight room for sure, because that's tied to the wrestling room. So if we're building the gym and the wrestling rooms there, then I think that's a smaller thing to do. The locker rooms, I think we need to do them, but I don't see them as tied to this part of it. I mean, it doesn't cost us anything great, but
It's almost a separate project on top of these other two.
I'd rather look at the whole list of things and make sure, well, that's the next one. Maybe it is.
But assuming it doesn't cost us anything.
Yeah.
It wouldn't hurt just to have an idea.
Yeah, it wouldn't have.
Doesn't cost us.
Because then we may be thinking a total different number and all of a sudden we see this and go, oh no, this is a much bigger or even a smaller project than we thought. But yeah, that's my thought.
Well, I guess you can go to those places and say, keeping, adding the locker rooms in there, what does this do? You're gonna charge us more for that? I mean, if we decide to split it off later, is that easy to do? I guess
Lee, I guess the only reason I'm asking that, Lee, and the only reason I brought it up was, what's the likelihood, that you may get a better deal if you're incorporating all 3 of those into one?
Well, that's a good point, Nick, because we're going to have at this point, or by that point, we'll already have an engineer, an architect, and a construction firm hired. If they're already on site, I know it's still going to cost us a little bit for them to do it, but they're already on site. Let's do it now. Whereas if we decide as a district later as a separate project, now we have to rehire maybe not an engineer, but we need to have an architect or a construction guy and bring somebody else back in. It's just, it might cost us more later. And the only way for us to find out is by doing this, finding out
That
now.
was my point. That's what I was thinking, was that maybe beneficial. They're there.
And anytime we do one of these RFPs, I always make a point to do a preference towards local contractors. I want local people working on it. So it might be a case where, we work it out with a local person, say, hey, you know what? Let's get rid of the project management team. Maybe they can do it less, getting rid of this entity that's above them. So I think it's a good starting point if it doesn't cost us any more money.
So are we needing action or you just come back with?
No, I will have that at the next meeting. And then, once you have the number and the information, you can decide if you want to do it or not, or what the next plan will be, but at least I'll have that.
Yeah, because we'd have to look at where the money would come from, that part of it, because we haven't really discussed that at all, as far as how we'd pay for the locker rooms. Okay, well, why don't we do that? And
I don't even remember a whole lot of discussion on where we're gonna pay for the weight room from.
right, yeah, that's true too, I guess. Depends on what the price tag is.
Okay,
All right, anything else on any of that stuff? Move on then to item 18, Superintendent Principals, Activities Director, and Building and Grounds Reports.
this is the Dems principal report from Lori. They had a great Veterans Day program on November 11th. A large number of community people attended. A big thank you to Mr. Z for being the guest speaker and for his years of service in the military. Thank you also to the middle school band, 7A choir, second grade class, the kindergarten class, and the 5th and 6th grade speakers. Everyone did a phenomenal job. A special thank you to Ms. Curry, Ms. Schlemm, and the kindergarten teachers, and Mr. Leary for preparing their students for the presentations. Parent-teacher conferences were held last Thursday night and Friday morning. They had great attendance. And this Friday, the Dems staff will participate in a presentation from Dependable Solutions on some new technology resources that are available. For our superintendent report, we have our civil rights audit that's going to be starting soon. We have to do this every 2-3 years. The report cards for the school district from the state get released publicly tomorrow. So I'll be looking for those, the newspapers, and everybody will be calling tomorrow wanting to get copies of that. Last year, these didn't happen because of COVID, but every year before that for like 10 years, it's kind of a big day when these things come out, and that's tomorrow. Snow days, it's inevitable that we're gonna have snow days, so we're gonna have you be able to tune to TV channel 315/27, many different radio stations, or you can look to our webpage or our Facebook page for closing information.
Thanks, Gail. Rich?
All right, thanks. First, to answer Bob's question from earlier, those classes are semester classes.
Okay, thank
So I
you.
did reach out to the teacher and she responded. I do want to congratulate Sophia Weigel and Josie Thomas because they received the Golf Coaches Association of Wisconsin Academic All-State Honors for this past season. So congratulations to them. Parent-teacher conferences, we had hoped for a better turnout. We had solid ESL numbers. Those parents were invited in, and those were really solid numbers for parents coming in. We hope for additional numbers from the rest of our parents. Wasn't quite there, but we're brainstorming now ideas for the spring and how we can increase parent attendance. Our junior class took their pre-ACT test today with Mr. Uppenaw, and so it's kind of an overview of what happened. The composite scores, they were in the gymnasium. The composite scores of the averages were English was a 19, reading a 21, math a 17, and science a 17. Mr. Uppenaw and I were planning on the 18s. We were guessing, and it averaged out to like 18 and a half. So we were happy where we were. There's definitely room for improvement. We use the On to College program, so it's a pre-AC test. That program is something you guys had approved a month or so ago. This pre-ACT program can be done at any time. We did it today just to get a feel for everybody where they were. But we also wanted our kids to see these questions because they haven't seen ACT type questions at all, and they're going to be taking the test in March. So now each of these students has the opportunity to go in there. They can take this test anytime and try to do better, study types of questions, look for just verbiage that's familiar to them so they can do this on their own. We won't do another test, but we gave them that look at it and kind of give them a feel for what it's going to look like, the gym setup and so on and so forth. So again, we are happy with those numbers. Speaking of juniors, they are going to a government day sponsored by the Lafayette County this Wednesday with Mr. Weigel and Mrs. Schellberger. They'll be going all day down to the courthouse, doing some tours, which is, it's good for them to go see it, kind of get out of the building and go see those things, the government day program that they have down there. Also on Wednesday, Mr. Whalen will be taking some seniors and sophomores to the cadaver lab in Platteville. So that'll be a different experience for some of those students, but It's about AP, anatomy and physiology, and then AP biology. Some of those students are going to be attending that field trip. Our Veterans Day program went very well. We were pleased with the numbers. Many thank yous, similar to what Lori had. Elena Markham, as far as the band and choir students and their great performances. Lee Black, who took time to set up the gym, as well as the band room for the Veterans Day program and luncheon. Mr. Ponsler, who was the head of NHS, he had his members, some of his members help serve our veterans. And in total, we had about 65 veterans and community members who came in for lunch. So we were very pleased with that. We had a catered lunch, which was chicken or beef, and then we had some potatoes, corn, but it was very good. We had enough extra that we fed our staff as well as the staff over here, Dems. We had enough to provide for them as well. The high school musical is coming up soon. So the cast and crew have been working very hard. The performances will be held on Friday, the 25th at 7:30, Saturday, the 26th at 7:30, and Sunday, the 27th at 1:30. The tickets are on sale starting today. They're $8 a piece in the high school office. High school girls basketball, those practices have begun. Their first games this Friday night. JV at 6, varsity at approximately 7:30. High school winter cheerleading practice / meeting happened today. So the advisors didn't really have a practice, but they had a chance to meet with the girls and begin those discussions on what it will look like for this year. Wrestling practice began today, boys basketball and gymnastics. We have 3 participants in gymnastics. They began last week. So a lot of things going on at the high school, but it's a lot of good things happening.
Hey, Rich, can I go back to the ACT?
Yeah.
So what were the averages again?
English was 19, reading 21, math 17, science 17.
I mean, is that kind of where, state average is what, 21, 22?
I would guess, yes, I would guess right in the 21 range. So our average, when you put those together, I think is like 18 and a half. So for Nick, for that first time, I think where we were pleased that the first time these guys even looking at this kind of a test and taking this test with no practice, I think we were pleased that they ended up right at the 18 and a half. Sure, we were hoping for, honestly, I told Mr. Up and I was looking for a 19 just to really feel like we're a little bit ahead, but I was accepting the 18 and a half because, better than 18, not quite 19, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. I was just I wanted to clarify that.
All right, thanks, Rich. Lee?
A couple things. Excuse me. Everything outside has been winterized now with fall activities done. And the weight room move has been done today. We emptied that out. Restroom room got set up this afternoon for wrestling practice to take off. A couple updates with projects. Spoke with Hoffman today as far as the cafeteria project. They are at the point of doing a final review before they go out to bid for, construction and civil services bids, things for the project. I did provide Todd with a list of local contractors, Darlington and the Darlington area contractors. He's going to reach out to all of them as well, so they all get an opportunity to bid. HVAC project is going well. As you approved the cement bid, so that'll be taken care of. Chris have the fence post in the ground out there for the condensing units. The excavating is done by Backyard LTD. They're moving right along. Their plan is to have the condensing units set sometime in January. Part of the bid is for McDermott's to come back and actually, make a space for the crane to come in and set the units in place and to repair any grounds that get torn up. So. And then lastly, the baseball field is going very well. The warning track looks awesome. Backyard did a great job. We ended up coming in right at bid with his bid, but the warning track material, we ended up coming in under budget a little bit. Didn't need as much as we originally thought, so have that going for us. The scoreboard will be here end of the month. That is delayed, much like almost anything being manufactured right now. It's waiting for some parts, some electronic parts to come over. But Chris are planning on putting in the fence in the next week and a half, hopefully this week, but if not this week, it'd be next week. So we should see some major progress here in the next week and a half. Other than that, things are going well.
Thanks, Lee. So we're on item 19, which is items appropriate for executive session, including stipend for support staff working with high need students, FMLA leave request, boys basketball volunteers, and winter cheerleader advisor candidates. Those are appropriate for executive session under Wisconsin statute 19.85, parent 1, parent C.
Make a motion to go into closed session.
Second.
Motion by Hermanson, second by Fink to go into closed session. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Shut off the recording here and we will pick it up again after closed session.